Welcome, dear listener, to a new episode of The Journey with M. And today we will be exploring the phenomenon of supremacy. We have with us Natte Hilleberg, who I've been following on social media for her posts that remind us all of the injustices and transgressions made in our society. I started reflecting one day how the feeds would look like and how the society would look like if all these reminders weren't there. Yeah, I think we would be missing out on a lot of voices that lead us to a fairer and more human existence. So I'm going to welcome Natte here, and if you would like to say a few words about who you are today, welcome, Natte.
Thank you. So my name is Natte Hilleberg. I live in Stockholm. Yeah, I don't know what could be interesting to say about me. Obviously, I write a lot in social media, and I work as a doctor, as a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
I am very engaged in different human rights issues.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I'm spending a lot of time on, working with these issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't only write posts, you also write articles and you address politicians. And I feel like, people sometimes say, I'm not interested in politics or I don't talk politics.
Yeah.
And for me, it feels like it's easy to say when I don't want to say when you're the oppressor, but when you...
Yeah.
Yeah,
when you're not affected by the violence that politicians commit.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And you can think that you're safe for now, but I read somewhere a good, useful quote, like, if you don't do politics, politics will do you sooner or later. Like, right now, we have some groups that are oppressed, but if we let it proceed, you will be next, you know?
Exactly. Because what guarantees that the oppressor would have a red line? I think if they find it that nobody speaks up, that they would continue to take more and more.
Exactly, and that's what we have been seeing also the latest years, that they have escalated this oppression.
Yeah, the world looks quite different.
Yeah.
When they started a year ago talking about the fascist way of treating people, I thought that was a very strong word. But now I truly believe that we see very strong signs of that.
Yeah, definitely. And some people speak about the death of democracy, both in Sweden but also in the Western world. And I've been guilty of that myself. So, and I guess it's not wrong, because you discover that the institutions that are supposed to protect the people protect the power. But what I want to underline is something that I said in a speech many years ago, and this is not quote from me, but from my friend, that we're speaking about the death of democracy in Sweden, but for non-white people, like for black and brown people, this has never been a democracy, never been a fair, just country to live in, a safe country.
What comes up for me is that some people think that they have the right to have more rights than the other people, like the sense of, I would say, supremacy, that you're better than the other. And what comes up also is the politician Alice Morve, who was asked several times, like, how do you finance yourself, or where does the money come from? And she keeps answering that she doesn't want to say.
Yeah. I actually filed a report today. But there have been so many already. And I really admire this initiative. I think it's great. But as people have said about this issue, like if it was a Muslim politician or a left-wing politician or black or brown politician, this would never be accepted as it has been with Alice.
Yeah.
Like the white mind, like the indoctrinated mind, how it
Yeah.
works.
That's what we're going to talk about now. But first, if you want to brainstorm with me in simple words, like what supremacy really is.
Supremacy. I know the Swedish word for supremacy, it's överhöghet. So I guess it is when something or someone is better than something else. Or I don't know, my English is not that good.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Like when someone at least thinks that they're better than someone else. Like there's a difference between hierarchy and supremacy. Like in hierarchy, you can have different people on different levels, but it's more of a functional unit, and they can respect each other and they can see each other as equals in a way. But in supremacy, I truly believe, like inside of me, that I am better than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is the most prevalent expression of supremacy currently?
I
Is
don't
it?
know, I'm like having a hard time with the word supremacy, but that's also because for me, my only and immediate association is white supremacy, like the racial hierarchy that we have been slowly building up since like decades and decades. And what also is really disturbing with the word supremacy is that this is in itself also gaslighting, because supremacy, it tells you that something is better than something else. I think this is the meaning of supremacy.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere on the internet, a black woman wrote, white supremacy should be called white narcissism. This would be more accurate description of the phenomenon.
That's a perfect reframing. I will try to use that instead in the rest of the episode.
Yeah, great.
White narcissism. Perfect. So, why do you think many white people are narcissists?
At first, I just want to comment that I was invited to speak about this, but I'm really not an expert on it, because the white narcissism and the white violence, I belong to the group that commits it, not the group that are subjected to like victims of it. So I can never know as much as a black person, a brown person, or like a non-white person.
Yeah.
So your question was, why are so many white people committing this white narcissism?
Yeah, exactly.
So to understand this, you have to go back like decades and decades and decades. And what I have learned about this, I have not learned anything from myself, only from other black and brown people, scholars, friends, authors, and so on.
Yeah.
But the concept of race, or like human races, was created here in Sweden by Carl von Linné, but he didn't speak about races, but about variations. And then other persons within so-called science, they built on that and created like the race category instead. And this was end of 1700-talet. I don't know, is that 18th century or 16th? I never remember.
1700s, let's say.
Yeah, the 1700s, exactly. So, but it existed before. We had the colonialism. We had the colonization of America, for example, and similar wording and phenomenon was used there. But this is where it was actually created, like as a biological category, basically.
Yeah.
And it was used so much to take power and exploit and steal lands and resources and everything, and form our complete society in a way that is so systematic and detailed, and I would say genius, if it wasn't for that it's so disgusting.
Evil.
Yeah, and evil. But in ways that we can't even begin to comprehend how it indoctrinates us, like
Yeah.
from birth. Some people are dehumanized and some are elevated, white people, elevated, and non-white people dehumanized. So this is on a group level, and it starts the day you're born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite fascinating how, I wouldn't call myself white or black. I'm in between. So,
Yeah.
but I can also now recognize how much I've been indoctrinated. After the genocide in Palestine started, I felt like a lot of my thinking structures changed, and I started to see things from a new perspective, and I realized how much my mind was colonized.
Yeah.
And it still is, I'm guessing, but at least my intention is to decolonize it.
Yeah, at least you are aware of that it has been tampered with, and that is in itself a threat
A step
for
forward.
the
Yeah.
power structures and for the power system.
Exactly. When you spoke about the historical events and how it started quite a long time ago, like what makes it continue? Like I'm really curious about if you have any ideas. I'm not saying that you have the right answers here, but if you can say like why many white people think they are better, and do they actually really think that, or is it a defense mechanism? Or because even in relationships, some psychologists say that even in relationships there are power struggles in the beginning, like one partner wants to show that they are better than the other and vice versa, and if they're not aware they can get stuck in that.
Yeah, definitely. And narcissism can also show up in like private relationship or family. So what makes this so unique, this form of collective narcissism, is that it affects all of the world and has really had such a big impact on how the world was built. And because of that, we once stole land, power, resources. We have been able to build different kinds of institutions, systems, even decide which words that are acceptable to use and decide what is supposed to be taught in school so that we can keep this power. And as the scholar Resmaa Menakem says, he's an African-American therapist and author. He says that the violence is the same through the years and the history, but it changes form. So before we had slavery, for example, and now black and brown people are exploited under like basically the same circumstances and the same violence and dependence and exploitation, but it's called something else. So we reframe it, but it's the same.
Yeah. It's, I'm getting the pictures or the images of children digging under horrible circumstances just to get the resources for us to have a mobile phone or a laptop, or and it's the same with gold and other
exactly. And we say we're so proud in Sweden that we first we learned that Sweden did not have any part in the slave trade, and then obviously we had, and then they reframe it as but it was really small, it was nothing, and so on, and now we condemn this completely. And we want to point at the evil Americans who did the slave trade. But in the mines of Congo, where they exploit people in horrible circumstances, we, like the Swedish Exportkreditnämnden, I don't know the English word, is actually lending money for companies that are active in those mines. Epiroc, for example, and Sandvik. So it continues to this day,
wow.
but it just changes form. And it's like silenced down so that we will not speak about it.
It's very tricky when, like you say, they reframe it or they use other words. Like you said, they're the same slavery conditions, but now it's under the umbrella of that they are working.
Exactly. And Exportkreditnämnden is only lending money for those companies, and the company says that it's not our mines, it's the mine owners that have the responsibility to ensure that everyone has good working conditions and so on. So they changed the system, they changed the wording, but it's the same violence and exploitation anyway.
What tends to come up a lot now, because I'm also exploring my own heritage and traditions, and one of them is Islam and the Quran. And I remember when I used to read the verses of the slavery verses of like that we should release, I don't know how many slaves if we do this and this sin, kind of like there are things you can do to clear out your sins. You know, you can give money to the poor or you can release people from slavery. And when I used to read these verses, I would always think like, oh my God, this is so old. This is not applicable now.
Mm.
And now it comes back, but it's, as we just said, it's tricky to really point at something and say this is slavery.
Exactly. And what is so interesting for me also with this white narcissism is that under any post or anything that wants to focus on the Swedish slave trade, many white people will always go in the commentaries and write that in the Arab world the slavery was worst, or black people sold themselves to others, or whatever, like point in every direction as it's away from white people and what we are doing. Yeah, it's very illustrative to see that take place in the commentaries.
Yeah. So, what do you think made you think differently or take a step back and see things for what they really are, since you are white?
Yeah, I think it's 100% completely thanks to black and brown people, you know, educating, writing books, movies in my surroundings. Yeah, if it was not for all these people telling the truth, of course, it would have been impossible for me to at least some open my eyes for the truth, because whiteness, it's like, I don't know how to describe it, maybe a sect almost, with that power structure, and someone trying to tell the truth gets punished or like ejected out of the group and so on. And I'm still, I don't want to say I've been doing the travel from bad to good. I've traveled maybe from bad to, maybe you should not value it like that, bad or good, but
You're on the
from
path, at
very
least.
white narcissistic to still white narcissistic, but hopefully discovering something new every day and trying to do better. But it's like a lifelong journey, and you can never say like, yeah, now I'm finished. Yeah, now I've done the work. Now I'm a good person.
Would you mind sharing, if you want, what the old white narcissist Natte thought or did before that now has changed?
It's like a million things, so it's very hard. One clear thing is that the person I was several years ago I was not engaged in anti-racism, in human rights, because obviously I didn't think it was important. Maybe in several cases, I didn't understand the importance of it. Maybe I was not even aware of it. I was just living in my bubble, you know.
Yeah. So you said there are many things that made you at least poke this bubble now. Do you remember what the first thing was? Like, was there an aha moment, or did it all come gradually?
It definitely came gradually. I can point on many. It's in like scientific research. It shows that Black people are getting higher doses of neuroleptics, like certain medication. This was a British study. I think 1.4 times more than white patients, and also more involuntary care.
Yeah. And what do you think people can do to also open their eyes, or what can we do to help others open their eyes?
I don't know. I'm trying. I'm trying in my ways. I don't know if those ways are the best. I'm trying to be aware myself and to make others aware. What I know, or what I've noticed, is that as a white person saying these things, you don't get even 100th or 1,000th part of the consequences as you would if you were a Black and brown person, for example, speaking about racism. And this is also part of the violent system. When you are oppressed and terrorized every day, and then when you try to name it, you are not even allowed to do that. I think we need to organize a bit more. Yeah, I don't have the answers.
I think that's a very good answer. Yeah, it's because it's a very big issue, and as you said, when the white people or the ones responsible say that they don't talk politics, or we don't see color, or they just address it as a non-problem, then it's very hard to find a solution. But like in anything, it keeps getting louder and louder until people will also start using force in the other direction. Or
yeah, we would need some kind of collective wake-up call, or like revolution or whatever, toward this oppression. But it's interesting when people have this conversation, like always non-political, always like, even on LinkedIn, people are angry that you post something about genocide. Like, this is not professional to write about political stuff here.
Like what is professional then?
Yeah, if not wanting to stop mass murdering of people, ethnic cleansing.
Exactly.
That's not professional. That is like really scary. But what is interesting is that if it was a Black or brown person bringing stuff like this up, often white people will label them as aggressive or threatening, like everything in the textbook. It's always the same. It's like from the same manuscript. But if I say it, this will very seldom be the case. At most, they say that I'm crazy and that I need maybe to be locked up, or like go see a colleague, or you should be in the ward where you work, or something like that. But not at all the same.
Not the same aggression.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's more mild, like, this is not professional.
Yeah, disgusting anyway.
Yeah, it is. When we see it from this calm place, it's very clear that there is an imbalance. And as you said, to uphold this structure, like anything built on lies will inevitably crumble. And so to keep it up, you just have to be more aggressive and, tell more lies. And
Definitely. And an ongoing discussion that I've been having with friends is that, like, is this violence done with a conscious mind or not? Like, is it conscious or is it unconscious? And you could argue for both, but what makes it, for me at least, conscious, even though I have myself been and am in the phase that I know that there is a lot of unconscious bias and racism that is affecting me. But still, if a person committing white violence is in a situation where they know that they cannot get away with this, they will not do it.
Exactly.
So in that level, it is conscious, even though maybe the whole racist thing, I think you were speaking about that earlier, the projecting of all our insecurities, barbarism, the violence, like the sexual violence, the erasing of other cultures, the stealing, the exploitations, like it's demonic. Everything that we do and have done to other people and to this planet, and still we project this onto other groups, like saying, for example, one of the most clear things for me is when, like, for example, I follow a political party that consists of Muslim, not only Muslims, but people are like thinking this is a Muslim party, but it's like minority rights party. So anyway, and as soon as they post anything on Facebook, it doesn't matter what the topic is about. It could be like whatever.
Okay.
A lot of angry white men are in the comments and saying like, you are pedophiles, you oppress women, you want to kill women, you want to decide what women should wear, and you want to convert us all and stuff like that. And if you write all this down like a list and read it and look at these angry white men, and white men also as a demographic, who is actually doing all these things? Like
It's
the
all
statistics
projection.
for sexual violence toward children. I read a study the other week. It was highest among white men. This was English.
Wow.
English study. And yeah, we all know about the child pornography rings that have been reported
Yep.
in the news. White men. The oppression of women. We have seen like the Sweden Democrats. Lots of news about them committing sexual violence and oppressing women. They have this conservative, right-wing, very misogynistic views on women. And they want to decide what women should wear. They want to decide what other people should have as a religion, obviously, because they don't accept, for example, Muslim being religious in Sweden and so on. So every accusation
It's a confession.
is a confession.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Always.
totally agree. Yeah, it makes me angry.
I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, this ignorance that is so, or maybe it's conscious, maybe a mix of both, but it's so harmful. And like you said, also now talking about the planet and taking the resources and all this extraction, you know, I think that's the basic maybe phenomenon behind all this, like extracting.
Extracting, exploiting, destroying,
Yeah.
hoarding, accumulating.
And how do we think that we can continue, you know, how can our species continue if that's the balance we keep? We keep exploiting and extracting, and then what?
And we see these white politicians of today, they don't do anything for the climate. Instead, they make decisions that are really bad for the climate, but good for their friends in the big companies. And so this elite riches, elite power group always stays together, protecting
Each other's backs.
each other. Yeah, white narcissism, white violence, white power is killing us, killing the planet, killing us all.
Like, what is the textbook answer or treatment in psychiatry of treating narcissism? Is it treatable even? Because it's a personality disorder, right?
It is a personality disorder, but when it comes to psychiatry and diagnosis, it's very hard for me to say anything because as it is, I'm already really critical of the diagnostic system. And this is also created by white people, by the way. So
exactly.
it's very weird, the thought that symptoms could be grouped in different categories and then you can diagnose them and you can treat them with medication or certain kinds of therapy without even regarding the societal impact on the same people. So psychiatry could easily be used as a tool to individualize the effects of living in a harmful society. And that's what makes it so dangerous. So that's why it's very hard for me to speak about like treatment and diagnosis within this framework, so to speak.
But it gives me so much hope that you actually see that and that you want to perhaps change it, and maybe you will continue reading other sources for treatment.
Yeah, it's like we often, I have been speaking a lot about racism the latest years, even though I'm not an expert. I'm really not an expert. I just want
But
to
I
add
think
that
also we
once
should
again.
speak as humans.
Yeah, definitely. As humans and with our certain experiences, that are unique. But I have many times like received the questions, what to do about racism. We are a ward that wants to work against racism. Like, what can we do? Do you have a book that you recommend, or do you have guidelines? It's always like that. That's also a component of the whiteness. Like, tell us what to do.
This perfectionism,
Yeah, it's perfectionism, and it's also like not being able to think by yourself. Like, tell us what to do. So and it's so weird because how to list that, how to write that. There is only one thing that needs to be done to stop racism and white violence, and that is that we as white people stop committing that violence. That is all. That is all that is needed, nothing else.
Yeah. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to add?
No, I don't think so. It's just like, you could speak about this forever, basically, and to cover everything. Like, okay, I was speaking very briefly about the history of racism, but that is like so complex and so much information that we all need to unlearn that it's very hard to summarize. But I can recommend a course that I went to that really opened my eyes about whiteness and racism. And that is called Undoing Racism.
Undoing Racism.
Yeah, it was created by Black Americans participating in the civil rights movement. So it's like a 3-day course or like workshop that you participate in and speak about power structures and race and stuff. That has really helped me to open my eyes.
Is it in Stockholm or online or?
I've participated in several times, and that has been online because it's arranged in the US. Yeah,
that's great recommendation.
Yeah.
If I may reflect also, like when you said it's very maybe complex historically, also I tend to always want to go back to, the simple humanity in us all.
Yeah.
Like to look at our daily ways we behave or think of the other. Like if we compare, how do we think when we see a black man compared to a white man? And how do we speak to a black man compared to a white man? How do we, whatever. The thoughts and behaviors we have in our daily lives can be a very good teacher.
Definitely. And that is actually one thing that when me and my friend have been holding lectures for our organization, Doctors Against Racism, that we say, and that it's a sad recommendation and tip, but anyway, and so this is for patients, and like have I been like racist to a patient? Was this racist? Was this discrimination? Like, so compare it to how would I have been treating this patient in that case if it was a white, majority Swedish speaking and wealthy also man. Would it have been the same?
Yes.
Like, honestly, truly, because I've been in lots of situations when I've looked back and reflected and been like, yeah, no, probably not. So, and that is very scary to admit, but it's also important. And even though it's maybe shameful and horrible, it's still a better alternative to be aware that this is a problem than to like continue and just deflect and continue as usual.
Definitely. It's so much better for it to come up in the light.
Yeah, and the denial, like the energy you have to use to deny all this. You can see the people in power, how much they don't seem happy, you know.
True.
Going around having to deny all this all the time, it makes you also lose your own humanity.
That's such an important point. Wow, that's been a great discussion with you. I thank you so much, Natte.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me and that I had the honor to speak with you in this podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure really. And thank you to all the listeners, and see you next time on The Journey with M.